other by accident. By accident, we didn't mean to. A signal error, and at the end of the book, the only logical tit-for-tat response was to have to do it back to them. Tit-for-tat strategies are vulnerable to mistakes in the system. And thus what you get is a derived strategy which turns out to outcompete tit-for-tat as soon as you introduce the possibility of a mistake in the system. And this one is called forgiving tit-for-tat. You go a certain number of rounds of this horrible back and forth seesawing of attacking each other, and just because of the possibility of there was a mistake, the rule of that one is after a certain number of rounds, you forgive them, and that can reestablish cooperation. And depending on the circumstance, how likely an error is to occur, you can have different strategies of how many rounds you need to go before forgiveness. Except there's a vulnerability to forgiving tit-for-tat, which is if the other side has evolved a defense against that strategy, they can exploit you like crazy. They can exploit your mathematical tendency to forgive. And thus what you see most adaptively is to start off with a pure tit-for-tat strategy, and only after umpteen rounds of the opponent proving that you can trust them, then you switch over to a forgiving tit-for-tat. What is this? This is you start dealing with somebody, a new person you're doing business with or whatever, and you've got to go a certain number of rounds before you begin to give them the benefit of the doubt. This is a mathematical variant on this. Okay, this is all great. The big challenge in the field is what I blithely passed over before. Tit-for-tat loses any interaction with the cheater, but as long as tit-for-tat cooperates with other tit-for-tats, they're going to lose individual battles, but where's the other tit-for-tat player coming from? You start off with a world in which everybody is a cheater, there is no reciprocal altruism, and if you could only get a bunch of cooperators cooperating with each other, you're going to outcompete those folks. But what is clear is there's no mechanism to start it off with. Whoever is the first one who says, I am the social slime mold, and I've read all about Robert Axelrod, and we need a world in which we cooperate, and I'm going to make the first move, they are one step behind in this game for the rest of the time, and all the other slime molds snicker derisively at them. The big challenge in the field is understanding what are the circumstances that jumpstart cooperation. Once it's established, that's great, but what is it that gets it going? And that has been a huge issue in the field ever since, trying to understand the special circumstances that select for cooperation to begin to emerge. Now, one of the models for this is as follows, and this is one that is very familiar to evolutionary biologists. You get some population, and as shown in the chart here, it's some big old population of nothing but defectors. There is no reciprocal altruism yet. And then you get one of the things that happens often over the course of time in some species. Some land bridge comes up, or some mountain collapses, or something floods, or whatever. You get a small subset of the population isolated by itself, isolated from the rest of the general population. And the term that you have here is this is a